talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm super happy to finally be back from my little vacation that I took last week. And the Bears were super busy while I was gone, adding players to their roster, rather if they were going to be starters or just depth pieces. It's all really important. If you guys were following me on my community page on YouTube, I was posting all the Bears content right there on the community page. So if you guys were following along, thank you guys so much. Like, as always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Before I get to the gist of today's episode, I want to go over those moves that the Chicago Bears made while I was gone out of town. So the people that they signed while I was gone: fullback Kari Blasingame. I love the signing. He's a very fast fullback, and he's gonna definitely help beef up, kind of like that O-line, help as a blocker. And I think that shows you the type of football team that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are looking for. They're looking for tough guys that are going to be nasty blockers, and Kari Blasingame will definitely help not only in the blocking side of things, but also producing as a running back. Obviously, they also signed offensive guard Dakota Dozier. He played a couple positions on the offensive line. I wouldn't overreact too much about this move. I feel definitely like this is a depth piece, and you have to understand that Ryan Poles is bringing in guys that fit the mentality of the offensive line, and I truly feel that Dakota Dozier definitely fits that mold. I don't expect him to come in as a starter or even compete for a starting job, but it'll definitely be a valuable asset in case anybody gets hurt on this offensive line, which happens all the time in the NFL. So to me, it's a pretty decent signing in terms of depth pieces. Then they re-signed safety DeAndre Houston Carson to a 1-year, $1.77 million fully guaranteed deal. Absolutely love the re-signing. He is our special teams ace, and he also played a valuable role as a safety in the Chicago Bears defense. Maybe Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles maybe have more of a place for him in the Chicago Bears defense, but I know that me, along with all the other Bears fans, really love what DeAndre Houston Carson brings to the Chicago Bears football team. One of the biggest news of this week was that the Bears signed guard Ryan Bates to an offer sheet. We don't know the details yet of what they offered him, if they overpaid him or if they got him for a good deal. But now the Buffalo Bills have exactly 5 days on March 29th, until March 29th, to either match the offer or say, you know what, Chicago, you can have them. If the Bills do not match the offer, I feel like this would be a really good signing. He definitely matches the mold of what Ryan Poles is trying to provide on the offensive line. Ryan Bates has played all over the offensive line for the Buffalo Bills. I know there's a lot of people that are concerned about how he only has 4 starts, but it's okay. You know, he didn't get a lot of opportunity with the Buffalo Bills until the end of last season, but him coming over to Chicago, he'll finally get a lot of opportunity to start right away for the Chicago Bears offensive line. I feel like he has a lot of upside. He's nasty. He's a nasty lineman, which I think that's why Ryan Poles likes him, and I feel like this would be an absolutely incredible signing to hopefully get our offensive line a whole lot better. And then as of last night, you know, Ryan Poles loves to do his work at night. The Chicago Bears signed journeyman quarterback Trevor Siemian to a 2-year, $4 million deal, which I don't dislike it. It's fine, whatever. But what does that mean for Nick Foles? Are we trading Nick Foles? Are we going to cut Nick Foles? Who knows what's going to happen to Nick Foles? But this definitely seems that Trevor Siemian's going to come in and be the backup for Justin Fields, which sounds like it's going to be the end of the Nick Foles era in Chicago. And let me tell you something. I don't think Nick Foles is a terrible backup. I think he's actually a pretty solid backup. But if we can get a 5th or even 6th round for Nick Foles, I think all Bears fans, including myself, would definitely be happy with that move. So it definitely signals the end of the Nick Foles era, but I think Trevor Siemian is also a very capable backup. He's been a starter on a couple of teams. He's been a valuable backup on many other teams, and he's just a journeyman quarterback. He's only 30 years old. We got him for a nice, cheap deal to come in and back up Justin Fields. So overall, not a sexy move, but obviously you need a backup quarterback, and I feel like Trevor Siemian will be a pretty decent backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears. So let me ask you guys this. How do you guys feel about all the moves that the Chicago Bears have made so far? And what grade would you give them? An A, B, or maybe an F? Let me know down below in the comment section. Okay, Bears fans, now that we finally got all of that out of the way, now it's time to go into what I actually want to talk about today on Keek on the Mic. And to me, it's actually a really interesting topic. So everyone knows that the NFL draft is coming up. It's going to be Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus's first draft as a Chicago Bears duo in Chicago. And the Chicago Bears have a lot of holes to fill. And one of those holes is wide receiver. I don't care what anyone says. We still have a lot of work to do in terms of wide receivers. Adding Byron Pringle and Inquinamius St. Brown is not going to cut it. So Ryan Poles is going to have a lot of work to do in terms of adding to that wide receiver room. But reports, and it's just draft reports coming out of Chicago, is that the Bears really like wide receivers from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. And according to ESPN's Jordan Schultz, he says this: Bears really like both Ohio State wide receivers Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, who broke Buckeyes TD record. There's a comfort level there with Justin Fields, and both have super strong skill sets. Spoke with the lead scout. They say, Wilson's a stud, like a true number one, and Olave's a touchdown machine. Let me tell you, Bears fans, it's obvious that both Wilson and Chris Olave have a special skill set, and they both have a special connection with Justin Fields while they're at Ohio State. And obviously the stats show the proof in the pudding. They had an obvious connection. They all balled out while they were at Ohio State. And it would absolutely be incredible to see these guys reunited. All Bears fans are calling for it. Like, maybe we can trade up. Maybe Chris Olave will fall. Maybe this will happen. Crazy things happen. The problem is, Bears fans, is that the Bears are without a first-round pick. They have 2 second-round picks, so maybe they can bottle those 2 second-round picks and trade up. But the problem is the Chicago Bears currently do not have a first-round pick, and Garrett Wilson's going to be in the top 10, and Chris Olave is probably going to be late in the first round. So that means both Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are going to be first-round picks. Jordan Schultz had this to say about the situation. Perhaps the Bears, currently without a first-round pick, would try and move up for Wilson, who's been mocked inside the top 10. Olave has also risen, I'm told. Okay, first things first. The only way to trade into the top 10 would to be bottle up those 2 second-round picks that you have and possibly trade your next year's first to even get close into the top 10. And there's been a lot of people, arguably, that Garrett Wilson is the best wide receiver in this draft, meaning that he may be inside the top 10. Not at number 10, but inside the top 10, which would probably be about 5 to 8 range. When you have a lot of holes to fill, that just doesn't seem realistic. And I just don't think Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears will risk more draft capital to get one player. So, personally, I feel that Garrett Wilson is off the table. As much as I would love to see Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields in Chicago together, it's just not going to happen. I'm not trading away 2 seconds in the next year's first for one player when you have holes at cornerback, maybe defensive line. You could add another linebacker, safety. There's so many holes to fill. Oh, yeah. Offensive line, maybe offensive tackle. There's so many holes to fill. So, personally, I feel that Garrett Wilson is off the table. Second, I personally feel that Chris Olave will be more feasible to get. Chris Olave has a chance to drop a little bit. Will he drop to pick 39? Absolutely not. Chris Olave is a highly touted prospect coming in this year's draft. There's a lot of wide receiver needy teams before the Chicago Bears. But I still think that Chris Olave has a possibility to drop to that number 20 to 22 range. In that case, if you just bottle up your 2 second-round picks, you can probably get to pick number 17 and draft Chris Olave if the Bears really feel strongly enough about Chris Olave. And let me tell you, I would absolutely love Chris Olave. You know, obviously I love Garrett Wilson, but Chris Olave and Justin Fields definitely have that connection. And it would be a beautiful sight to see. And obviously, like I said, the proof is in the pudding. Obviously, when you look at the past, you have Tua Waddle, right? Chase Burrow. Other teams are doing it. So obviously, I can see why Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears are interested. And another thing that kind of interests me is that the Bears haven't been really aggressive in the wide receiver market in free agency. Does that mean they may possibly be considering moving up to the first round to get Chris Olave? Chris Olave has already said that it would be a dream come true to reunite with Justin Fields in Chicago. And I know Justin Fields feels the same way. Justin Fields and Chris Olave already have that connection. It's not like they'd have to build that connection. I think Chris Olave would definitely bolster the wide receiver room for the Chicago Bears. You add Chris Olave, now you have Olave, Mooney, Pringle. It sounds pretty enticing, does it, Bears fans? You have a guy in Chris Olave that's just absolutely a touchdown machine. That's all he knows. That's his home, is the end zone. So doesn't it seem enticing to at least consider it? Though it seems like a pipe dream, right? Crazy things definitely happen. So let me ask you guys this. Do you guys want the Chicago Bears to trade up to draft either Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave? Let me know down below in the comment section. Just type yes or no and give me a reason why it's a yes or no. Personally, like I said, I would love for the Chicago Bears to trade up. But when you look at all their holes that they need to fill on the roster, it just seems like it's unrealistic. Yes, you can still bottle up those 2 second-round picks, move up to number 20, get your receiver for Justin Fields, and still have that third-round pick number 71. So you will still get a decent player. You can go offensive tackle with pick number 71. But then I think your next pick is not until pick 148, which is in the 5th round. So if Ryan Poles is going to do this, yes, it would be aggressive. Yes, you would get your receiver. But when you have so many holes to fill, that's what's kind of holding me back. And that's why it just seems like a pipe dream at this point. You know, all Bears fans have probably already dreamed about it, including myself. Man, Justin Fields to Chris Olave in a Chicago Bears uniform. Paired with Darnell Mooney, a speedster. Paired with Byron Pringle, a speedster. It would be a beautiful sight to see. And Chris Olave would definitely make this Chicago Bears offense better. And the only reason why I'm kind of back and forth with this is that you have 2 second-round picks. You can trade back on one of those second-round picks, right? Add more draft capital. You can add a third-round pick. You can add a 4th-round pick, right? By trading back with those second-round picks. And you would still be able to land a guy like Christian Watson, George Pickens, Alex Pierce from Cincinnati. You would still be able to get one of those guys. This draft is deep with wide receiver talent, and that's why when you read around social media, a lot of Bears fans saying, you know what, just stay put. Yes, I love Chris Olave. I love Garrett Wilson. But why give up more draft capital for one guy when you can trade back and still get a solid wide receiver in the 2nd round and be able to fill all the other holes like offensive tackle, defensive line, cornerback to your football team? So the more realistic option here is for the Chicago Bears to trade back, draft a guy like Christian Watson or George Pickens, add an offensive tackle, add a couple of cornerbacks, and at the end of the day, I think that would make our football team a whole lot better by just not adding one player, but adding multiple players to make our team better. So before I let you guys go, I'm going to ask you one more time. Would you guys trade up? If you were Ryan Poles, would you trade up to draft Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave? Let me know down below in the comment section. As we get close to the NFL draft and as we continue the free agency period, I will be back with all new videos, updating you guys on all the Chicago Bears moves. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to get all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. And make sure you share this episode of Kick on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, I'll be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Kick on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it,